Welcome to Love, Good, and Freedom with Adrian Duarte, and today's topic is recognizing toxicity. So, as we all know, toxicity is something that we all try to avoid because it is a very, very dangerous situation to be in. Because if you are with someone toxic, or if you are toxic yourself, you get to sabotage everything that been wanting to do and everything that you've been living for. So to start this discussion off, let's discuss the word recognizing. Recognizing is acknowledging the existence or validity or legality of something that is present in our midst. Toxicity is the quality of being toxic or poisonous. So if we look at and we think about something being toxic, we look at it as something eating away some things. We associate snakes with toxics because it's poison and it kills us sooner or later if we get poisoned or whatever. So, yeah. To start it off, we are going to discuss about the things that I consider to be toxic. It is important for us to know and recognize toxicity as it is, so we are able to cut out and beat it by the root itself. This is a topic that has been requested by one of our listeners, and thank you for requesting this topic because this is a topic that we all have to go through and understand as well, because we also experience toxicity in our lives, both internal and external, and sometimes we feel powerless when we are faced with these things. So what is toxicity for me? Toxicity does more harm than good. It is mostly an external force and also an internal force. But when you become toxic yourself internally, it means that you are trying to sabotage everything that you've been doing or you've been dreaming of doing. Toxicity redirects you away from the important things, demotivates you, takes you back a few hundred steps because you just feel demotivated and everything, uninspired. It is also where your value as a human being is compromised, and principles and etc. So, yeah, if you are in a situation where your humanity and your beliefs are actually compromised, it may be a toxic situation that you have to get out of. Another one would be people who selfishly take from you, and traits that you may possess that is toxic for you and the people around you that you don't know. That's why it's important to nip it in the bud. Nip it in the bud and recognize the toxicity where it starts, so that you are able to save yourself for a whole lot of trouble of going through situations and effects that you don't want to go through. Okay. So why is it important? Sometimes we gloss over the presence of toxic traits and people in our lives because we think we're powerless to do anything about it. It's important to recognize it, give it a name, so you're able to find ways to get over it, get rid of it, or change things about it. Because we are powerful more than we expect. We have our minds to think, because when we think and we put our minds and hearts into it, we can do anything we want. We are scared of these toxicities because of uncertainty it holds. We're scared to lose these toxicities. If we have a toxic friend, if we have toxic family members, sometimes we just keep them around because we're afraid of what these uncertainty holds when you let them go. And sometimes, most of the time, letting go of these toxicity from your life saves you more heartache, or saves you from more of the heartaches and things that go about your way. To figure out these toxic things in your life is caused by internal and external forces and do something about it. So it's important to recognize so you are able to do something about it. It's mostly about doing. Okay. How can we do this? How can we get rid of toxicity in our lives? First is you assess your goal and the steps towards them. Write down how you can achieve those and analyze what are the things that you have to overcome. So I'll give you 3 tips again, and how we are going to recognize toxicity, how are we going to cut them off, and how are we going to live a life getting over toxic things and getting over toxic ideas and mindsets. Okay, so first we recognize what toxicity is. Toxicity is things that, steer you away from your goal. That's why it's important to assess your goal, the dream that you want for yourself, the life that you want for yourself, and the things that you value most. These are the things that you have to know before we recognize toxicity. That's why a lot of people don't know if they're being toxic. And a lot of people are toxic because they want to be toxic. So there are a lot of things to consider into that. But here is the thing. Toxicity comes in so many ways. It can come to like light friendships, where friendships would ask you to go out and influence you to keep going out, keep going parties and whatever, and like they're not gonna support you and tell you, oh, you have to do your own thing, you have to work before you party. Those are one of the toxic people that we would encounter in our lives. Another one would be those who are too afraid to judge you, criticize you, and not tell you what you're doing wrong. Those are another toxic person. Another toxic person is who envies you, who doesn't want you to succeed, and just like says congratulations, but they don't really mean it. And a lot would be your toxic traits. Maybe you are too needy, too self-centered, or too what? You're too needy, too self-centered, too rigid. There's so many things that can cause toxicity. But, you know, recognizing these things, recognizing the traits, and recognizing your dream, where you want to be, the future that you see for yourself and the people around you, if you know what you want, you get to have a clear vision of who you want to keep around and the energies that you want to have in your life. So, first is assess yourself. That's the first step. SWOT analysis: strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. You know, you can talk about how strong you are, what you do best, what you do great. What are the things that you are able to bring to the table? Weaknesses: you jot down your weaknesses and know where you can improve on. And sometimes these improvements that you need to do are technically your toxic traits as well. For example, if you're that person who keeps on going round and round with something because you can't seem to just let it go, or you can't seem to be just like, oh, it's okay, it's perfect. You want it to be always perfect, and you keep editing it, you keep, removing it, you keep doing it over and over and over and over again. It becomes toxic. Another example would be when you become too needy of people, when you lose your self-worth because of some person, and then you fall in love with this guy, and then you're like, oh, he's the world for me, and he gets suffocated. He feels like, oh, I am, this is too much. That's when it becomes toxic as well. Another example would be, if you feel like blowing off your responsibilities just because you want to party and like this person invites you, or you're doing things that certainly derails everything that you've been working on, that is toxic. You have to know that that is toxic. Next is identify your goals. So see what are the things you can improve on and do to achieve your goal one day at a time. You have to remember, our goals are not built in a day. Our goals are like, you build it up, you finish and accomplish things little by little, and it's okay. Identify them, and again, to know where the people you are with stand. Analyze your situation. Are you accountable for your decisions? Do you take the time to work on your dream, or do you aimlessly just exist and drag people to your void? So that's another analysis and assessment that you need to do for yourself. You have to know if you are accountable for your decisions, or do you keep blaming other people when you fail at certain things. So those are the energies that you have to keep intact and balanced. You have to know, and you have to have that one-track mind to actually go for what you want and follow the necessary steps that you need to do. Okay? And when circumstances are bad, you have to recognize that there are external forces that will hinder you with success sometimes, but it's just a challenge. It's more of a challenge rather than a complete hindrance and a complete dead end for you. Okay. So key points here: accountability, open-mindedness, grit, and determination. You have to remember your goals. You have to remember where you want to be, and you have to manifest it. Next is reflect on your relationships. This is where a lot of people are asking me, how do you let go of toxic people? And how do you know who are the toxic people in your life? First off, reflect on your relationships. When you're done with assessing yourself, your life, your strengths, your weaknesses, now it's time for you to reflect on your relationships. Are you surrounded by people who love and support you? If that is a yes, well then there's no toxic person that you have to cut off from your life. But if you're surrounded with people who seem to be supporting you but not really, people like who messages you only to have a good time and that's it, and people who don't listen to you when you think that you have a problem and you want to share it with them, That's one. And then there's that other toxic person who just goes to you when that person has a problem and never does listen to you intently when you have your own problem. So those are other toxic people you have to see. And others, they drag you to their void. I have an example of this one, but this one is not a bad example. You know, this is not something that I I'm always proud of, but I participated in the cancel culture. Like, we have the cancel culture and you get to do it. It's easy to cancel anyone if you wanted to and intently. But for me, I don't really cancel the person. It's just I stay away from them. I really keep a distance, but I do have genuine support and love for them at the end of the day. I had this college best friend back in CSB, and we were, we were having fun. We love each other. We do trust each other with our secrets and everything. But there was a time in her life where she was really going through tough times, and she was acting out, lashing out, and doing things and avoiding responsibilities. Okay, so as a friend and a good friend of mine, I told her, hey, you have to, pick it up. You have to fix up yourself and stop messing around. And then I warned her, like, if she wouldn't, and I wouldn't be, like, I would stop being friends with you. And that's what happened. She kept continuing with her lifestyle, and we just drifted apart. She found new friends, I found new friends, and then we just didn't talk. And then after X number of years, we met each other again, and, it was really good because she still recognizes my friendship with her as a college best friend, and I am grateful. But see, I was able to see her toxic traits. I told her what she can work on, and she didn't want to. So that's one toxic person, the one who didn't want to change because of that. And it's okay. And it's up to her. But you know what? She changed. She is very successful now, and I'm really, really happy for her. And she turned her life around, and I'm very proud of her. So nothing else to say about that. And, at least I was able to let her know that we genuinely, and I still genuinely care for her, even from afar. So, yeah, that is the toxic person that you're going to encounter. Another toxic person you're going to encounter. Another one is someone who sees your toxic behavior but does not tell you. So, as, for example, if I was a toxic friend, I would just tolerate that friend of mine and not call her out for doing what she's doing, and not telling her that you have to do better than this. You have to have friends that can be accountable for you. This is the relationships that you want to keep. So if the people around you are not like this, you have to reassess if they're the ones that you really want to keep in your life. Okay? Next is, people in your life are supposedly in tune with their energies and the goals as well. So you surround your people with the same goals in life, the same drive to be successful, the same drive to be happy with each other, and content with whatever you have. And the same thing, that they value your friendship and your relationship with them. And if they don't, probably they're also toxic. But if they don't, and you have to assess, because you have to see it, if that person is just really just caught up with his own world or not, or whatsoever. Again, know that there would be people who genuinely love to see you succeed, and some people who would love to see the opposite. So that's another toxic person. You would know these people who are very, very ingenuine about everything they say, about everything they do. You would see, because there would be discrepancies of their principles, of their humanity, or anything that you see. Their words won't match up their actions. Their actions will not even be at par with the words they say at all. At all. So, cutting these people out is a necessary move if mentally they suppress everything that you need, or mentally they hurt you, physically and emotionally hurt you. Leave the situation before it gets worse, before it becomes something that you cannot control anymore. You have the power, you can cut them out. Or you could do the same thing that I did. You can distance yourself. You could, it's a natural entropy. You could slowly disconnect and untether yourself from that person and move to a different group, move to someone else, and gravitate towards some person who has the same energy levels and dreams and goals as you do. Okay? Analyze them. Know that true people and true people who loves you, or people who truly love you, will call you out, would want to see your best version of yourself, and who would also ask you for advice and for criticism if they need to change. Those are the people you have to keep. All right. Last tip is crack down on the bad juju. So assess how these circumstances and people in your life add up to your future. If you know someone who just constantly brings your energies and self-worth down the drain, cut them off. Crack down on the bad juju. Know them. If it is this or what that is the bad juju, cut it off. Like if you've got a bad habit that you want to cut off, like you want to keep working out every day and not just once in a while, do it. Just do it. Start somewhere. When you start cracking down on these bad jujus, you get to find your groove. Oh, and if you think you have traits that seem toxic and want to change, seek help from your friends. Ask them the things they notice about you that seems off-putting for them. So, I did this exercise with my friends. Like, I have these amazing friends of mine, and then we went to this beach. And then, I asked them, what? Can you tell me what's one thing that you hate about me? Or you don't like about me? I won't be mad. I just want to know. And they told me I was too controlling, or like, no, I was, no, matampuhin was the thing. I was too sensitive. I get my emotions really worked up whenever things don't happen and go the same way I want them to. I'm too emotional. I'm too intense. So at least that's one thing I would know. And then since I know that, I can change. I can manage to work on it. They can constantly keep up with that. But if I want to be a better person, I'd be able to learn how to communicate my emotions more rather than just, yeah. So key points here is reflection, change, and letting go. To let go, people, you can go up to them and say, oh, our relationship isn't healthy for me now, and I think I'd love the time to be with myself for a while and assess if things are still gonna be okay between both of us. Those are the things that you can do, letting go of these toxic people. Or you can just literally just not message them and natural things will flow. Or you could call them out, give them an ultimatum, and say, if you're not gonna change, I think I really have to move on from this. Yeah. So, yeah, we talk about cancel culture. So cancel culture is a bit, extreme. So, you be sure that when you cancel someone, you cancel them with all your might and also with everything laid out on the table. You have assessed everything and you say it. It's a canceled case. It's a case that's not salvageable. If that's the case, go for it. Cut them off. Live a life that you want. Next is, I have an example or story is, I remember I've had this assessment at work that I complain first before I do everything. Like, the only thing that my boss noticed was my mouth runs first before I do the task. So that's one thing I have to change. So I've been trying to breathe in and breathe out whenever I feel like talking out and lashing out and be like, what am I going to do this? What am I going to do? Yeah, that's it. So, yeah, see, recognizing it's more of being aware of what's happening with you, what's happening to you, with your friends, your family, and the relationships that you have. So to end this podcast, remember that toxicity is a part of our lives, and recognizing its presence makes it easier for us to track down and change for the better. So if you recognize these traits, you are able to find them, give them a name. You're able to be, change it or cancel it or cut it off from your life if you must, right? Oh, it is human nature to make mistakes, but it's a choice to own up to it and recognize your own faults. If you feel like there are things that you want to change about yourself, you can ask people who really truly care about you, and they would tell you the truth and honest answers to the questions that you are asking them. And sometimes letting people go is best for the both of you. If you think that you're just being, you're just being toxic to each other and bringing out the worst in each other. This can happen in relationships. If you have this partner of yours that makes you argue and whatever, like gaslights you, manipulates you, you have to run the other direction and save yourself. Because what? You're worthy. You are worthy. So once again, lovies, thank you for listening to this wonderful podcast. Thank you for this topic. I shout out to Rana Cancino for wanting this topic. I am grateful that you shared this interest in this topic. Okay, so have a great day and I'll see you soon. Bye.